My name is Tom Bradley, and until that Thursday night in August, I thought I had it all figured out. 34 years old, senior project manager at a tech firm, married to Sarah for 6 wonderful years. We had the house in Lincoln Park, the matching Honda SUVs, the weekend trips to wine country. Friends called us couple goals. My mother had our wedding photo as her phone wallpaper. I remember that morning with painful clarity now. Sarah had made French toast, my favorite. She kissed me goodbye at 7:15 a.m., same as always, her lips tasting of maple syrup and coffee. Book club tonight, remember? She said, grabbing her work bag. I might be late. We're discussing the ending, and you know how Janet gets. Tell Janet I said hi, I replied, not looking up from my phone. And don't let her talk you into that wine pyramid scheme again. Sarah laughed. That was one time. Besides, the rosé wasn't that bad. It tasted like disappointment with hints of regret. You're such a wine snob. She kissed my forehead. Love you. See you tonight. Love you too. The door closed. I heard her car start, the familiar sound of her backing out of our driveway. Normal Thursday morning? Normal goodbye? The last normal moment of my marriage. I finished breakfast, cleaned up, headed to work. The day was typical. Meetings about server migrations, a conference call with Seattle, lunch with my team to celebrate closing a major contract. My colleague Ryan asked about weekend plans. Probably just relax, I said. Sarah's got her book club tonight, so I'm thinking takeout and the game. Living the dream, Ryan joked. Marcy's got her wine painting class. I swear these suburban moms and their activities. We laughed. God, we laughed about our wives and their hobbies, their little escapes from routine. How innocent it all seemed then. Chapter 2. The email that changed everything. I got home at 5:45 p.m. Sarah's car was gone. She usually went straight from work to book club. They rotated houses, and tonight was supposedly at Janet's place in Evanston. 40-minute drive, especially with traffic. I changed into sweats, ordered Chinese food, and settled in for the Bears preseason game. During a commercial break, I grabbed the iPad to check fantasy football stats. Sarah had used it that morning to look up a recipe, and her email was still logged in. I was about to switch accounts when a notification popped up. New email. The preview showed just enough. Can't wait to see you tonight at Lucia's. Wear that red dress I love. D. Time stopped. I stared at those words until they blurred. Read them again. Again. My brain tried to process, to rationalize. Maybe it was spam. Maybe D was Diane from her office, and they were meeting before book club. Maybe. But I knew. In that sick, gut-dropping moment, I knew. My hands shook as I opened her email. I shouldn't have. Privacy, trust, boundaries, all the things we'd promised each other. But those promises felt hollow now. The email chain went back weeks. David Chen, CFO at Morrison Industries. They'd met at a conference. Professional emails at first, discussing campaign metrics and ROI. Then, personal notes crept in. Lunch invitations. Thinking of you messages. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Then I found it. 3 weeks ago. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. About us. Thursday can't come fast enough. Thursday, book club night. I scrolled back further. Every Thursday for the past 2 months, there were emails, restaurant confirmations, hotel bookings, sweet nothings that should have been mine. My Chinese food arrived. I let it sit on the porch going cold. I couldn't eat, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. I called Janet. Chapter 3. The Unraveling. Tom? Everything okay? Janet's voice was concerned. It was 7:30 p.m. Book club should have been in full swing. Hey, Janet, quick question. Is Sarah there yet? She left her phone at home. The lie came easily. Too easily. The pause told me everything. Tom, We haven't had book club in 3 months. We all got too busy with summer activities. Didn't Sarah tell you? My knees gave out. I sat hard on the kitchen floor, back against the cabinets. 3 months? Yeah, since May. Lisa's kids had travel baseball, and Monica started that evening MBA program. We're planning to restart in September. She trailed off. Tom, is everything all right? I have to go. I hung up before she could respond. 3 months, 12 Thursdays, 12 lies. 12 times she'd kissed me goodbye, grabbed her book club tote bag, still sitting by the door I noticed now gathering dust, and driven to… where? I pulled up our credit card statements online. There they were, charges I'd ignored. Lucia's Italian restaurant, the Fairmont Hotel bar, a lingerie store on Michigan Avenue, all on Thursdays. All while I sat at home watching games, thinking my wife was discussing plot twists with her friends. The rage built slowly, starting in my chest, spreading like fire through my veins. But underneath the anger was something worse, humiliation. How many people knew? How many times had I mentioned Sarah's book club to friends, to coworkers, while they smiled and nodded, perhaps knowing the truth? I found Lucia's address on Google. 20 minutes away. According to the reservation in her email, they had an 8 p.m. table. I looked at the clock. 7:45 p.m. I could wait. Confront her at home. Handle this like an adult with dignity and calm discussion. I grabbed my keys. Chapter 4. The drive. The drive to Lucia's was a blur of red lights I barely noticed and speed limits I definitely ignored. My phone rang constantly. Janet, probably warning Sarah. I threw it in the back seat. My mind cycled through 6 years of marriage, searching for signs. When had we become strangers? When had Thursday nights with fictional characters become more appealing than reality with me? I thought about our wedding day, Sarah in her grandmother's pearls, tears streaming as she read her vows. You're my best friend, my safe harbor, my adventure all in one. I promise to choose you every day, in big moments and small, forever. Choose. Every day. Apparently, Thursdays didn't count. I remembered our first apartment, that cramped studio in Wicker Park. We'd eaten ramen for months to save for furniture, then spent the money on a trip to New Orleans instead. Danced in the street at 3 a.m., drunk on hurricanes and young love. When had we stopped dancing? I thought about the fertility struggles last year, the tests, the treatments, the crushing disappointment each month. How I'd held her as she sobbed after the third failed IUI. We have each other, I'd whispered. That's enough. That's everything. Was that when she'd started pulling away? When the future we'd planned became uncertain? No, I couldn't rationalize this. Couldn't psychoanalyze my way into making her betrayal my fault. She made choices, conscious, deliberate choices, every Thursday for 3 months. Chapter 5. Lucia's I parked across from Lucia's at 8:03 p.m. Through the windows, I could see the warm ambience that screamed romance. Dim lighting, candles on every table, couples leaning close over wine and pasta. The kind of place you took someone when you wanted to impress them, when you wanted to seduce them. We'd been here once for our 4th anniversary. I'd ordered the osso buco. Sarah had the seafood risotto. We'd shared tiramisu and talked about baby names. Sure, we'd need them soon. Now she was in there with him, David Chen. I'd found his LinkedIn while driving. CFO at Morrison Industries, MBA from Kellogg, divorced 2 years ago. Handsome in that polished corporate way. Salt and pepper hair that probably made him look distinguished. The kind of man who sent emails about wearing red dresses. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, maybe 10, alternating between rage and devastation. Part of me hoped I was wrong, that I'd walk in and find Sarah with her mother or college friends or anyone but him, that there was an explanation that would make this all a misunderstanding. Then I saw them through the window. Corner table, intimate, romantic. Sarah wore the red dress I'd bought her last Christmas, the one she'd said made her feel beautiful. Her hair was curled the way she only did for special occasions. She was laughing, head thrown back, hand resting on the table. His hand covered hers. The way he looked at her, like she was the only person in the room, like she held all the secrets of the universe, like he was drowning and she was air. The way I used to look at her. The way I thought only I looked at her. She fed him a bite of whatever she was eating. He caught her hand, kissed her palm. She didn't pull away, didn't look guilty, didn't glance around nervously. She looked happy, radiant, alive in a way I hadn't seen in months. That's what broke me, not the hand-holding or the intimate dinner. The joy on her face, the ease of their interaction. This wasn't new. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was a relationship. This was what she did on Thursdays now. The rational part of my brain made one last attempt at control. Go home, pack your things, call a lawyer, handle this with dignity. But dignity was for people whose wives went to actual book clubs. I got out of the car. Chapter 6. The Confrontation. I burst through Lucia's doors hard enough to make them slam against the walls. The entire restaurant turned to stare. Conversations died mid-sentence. A server nearly dropped his tray. The soft jazz playing over the speakers became absurdly noticeable in the sudden silence. Sarah! Her head snapped around so fast I heard her neck crack. I watched the blood drain from her face in real time, like someone had opened a valve. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. She yanked her hands back from David's, but it was too late. Too late for her. Too late for us. Too late for everything we'd built. I crossed the restaurant in 5 strides. My vision tunneled until all I could see was their table. Their intimate little setting, their wine glasses touched with her lipstick, their shared appetizer, their whole secret world built on the foundation of my ignorance. Book club, Sarah. I grabbed their wine bottle. A Malbec, I noticed, with the part of my brain that was observing this like a movie. She hated Malbec. Always said it was too heavy. Apparently, David had changed her mind about that too. Is this your book club? I upended the entire bottle over their heads. Red wine cascaded down like blood, staining her perfect red dress darker, ruining his expensive suit, pooling on the white tablecloth. Sarah jumped up, sputtering, wine dripping from her carefully curled hair. Tom, wait! 6 years! The words ripped from my throat. I grabbed the edge of their table with both hands. Adrenaline surged through me, making me stronger than I'd ever been. I flipped it with one violent motion. The crash was spectacular. Plates shattered against the hardwood floor. Glasses exploded. Their candle went out as it hit the ground. A small death. Food scattered everywhere. Her chicken marsala mixing with his salmon, their shared Caesar salad tossed like confetti. 6 years of marriage for this? David scrambled backward, his hands up in surrender, wine dripping from his distinguished salt and pepper hair. Hey, let's calm down. Calm down! I stepped over the destroyed table, glass crunching under my feet. You're holding hands with my wife, and you want me to calm down! The restaurant erupted into chaos. Servers rushed toward us but stopped short, unsure how to handle this. Diners pulled out phones. I saw the subtle shift of cameras turning our way. Someone in the back was already narrating for their Instagram story. A woman near the window was definitely live streaming. Good. Let them watch. Let everyone see what Sarah Bradley had done. Chapter 7. The Public Reckoning. I turned to face the packed restaurant. Every table was full. Couples on dates, families celebrating birthdays, business dinners. All watching us. All witnessing the destruction of my marriage in real time. Everyone here needs to know, this woman's a cheater. Sarah Bradley, remember that name. Tom, please. Sarah tried to grab my arm, her fingers slipping on my sleeve, wet with wine. This isn't what you think. I laughed, but it came out broken, unhinged. Not what I think. What I think is that you've been lying to me every Thursday for 3 months. What I think is that book club was a cover story. What I think is that our marriage meant nothing to you. It's not like that, she pleaded, mascara running in black rivers down her cheeks. Then what's it like, Sarah? Explain to all these nice people what it's like. I gestured to our audience. Tell them about your book club. Tell them what book you're reading. Tell them about the plot twists. David tried to edge toward the exit. I moved to block him, glass crunching under my feet. Where are you going, David? You wanted to hold her hands, right? You wanted to kiss her palm? Stay and hold them now. A busboy dropped an entire tray of dishes. The crash seemed to wake up the staff. The manager appeared. A short man in an ill-fitting suit, sweat already beading on his forehead. Sir, I need you to leave immediately. I'm not going anywhere. I pointed at Sarah, my hand shaking with rage. She told me she was at book club. Ask her what book they're reading. Sarah was sobbing now, her shoulders shaking. Wine dripped from her hair onto her ruined dress, the red dress he loved. Tom, please let me explain. Explain? Explain. The word tasted like poison. What's to explain? You're here with him instead of discussing literature with Janet. Although Janet sends her regards, by the way. She's very surprised you're not at her house right now. Through the windows, I could see the red and blue lights of approaching police cars. Someone had called 911. Of course they had. Man destroying restaurant. Film at 11. How long, Sarah? I demanded. How long have you been lying to me? She couldn't meet my eyes. Tom, please. How long? 4 months, she whispered. 4 months. 16 Thursdays. 16 lies. 16 times she'd kissed me goodbye and driven to another man. The admission hit me like a physical blow. I'd found emails going back 2 months. This had been happening even longer. Chapter 8. The Identity. Who are you? I turned my full attention to David, who was trying to become invisible against the wall. What's your name? He stayed silent, jaw clenched, wine dripping from his hair onto his ruined shirt. His eyes darted between me and the approaching sirens. I pulled out my phone and took a photo. The flash was harsh in the romantic lighting. Fine, I'll find out myself. I turned to the crowd. Anyone recognize this guy? He likes married women. He likes sending emails about red dresses. A woman at a nearby table gasped. Oh my God, that's David from my office. David, I announced to the room. David, the homewrecker. David, who takes married women to Italian restaurants while their husbands sit at home like idiots. He's our CFO, the woman continued, seemingly unable to stop herself now that she'd started. David Chen from Morrison Industries. He just led our earnings call yesterday. Even better, a name, a position, a company. The internet would do the rest. Well, David Chen, CFO of Morrison Industries, I said, my voice carrying across the silent restaurant. I hope my wife was worth your career. I hope those Thursday nights were worth everything you're about to lose. You don't understand, he started. I understand perfectly. I cut him off. I understand you knew she was married. I understand you sent her emails about wearing special dresses. I understand you've been sleeping with my wife every Thursday while I thought she was at book club. More gasps from the crowd. Someone whispered, Every Thursday? Another voice. Book club? That's cold. Chapter 9. The law arrives. 2 police officers entered, hands resting on their holsters. They surveyed the scene. Overturned table, shattered dishes, wine everywhere, 3 people in various states of distress, and a restaurant full of recording phones. Sir, we need you to calm down, the younger officer said carefully. I am calm! I gestured at the destroyed table. I'm calmly informing everyone that my wife's a liar and David Chen here is a homewrecker. Tom, stop, Sarah sobbed. You're making a scene. Making a scene? I laughed incredulously. You made the scene when you chose Lucia's over book club. You made the scene when you chose David over our marriage. You made the scene when you decided Thursday nights belonged to him instead of US. The officers positioned themselves strategically, one between me and the couple, one blocking my path to the door. Professional. Careful. Sir, you need to leave. Now, the older officer said. His badge read Martinez. He had the weathered look of someone who'd seen every type of domestic drama. I'll leave, I said, backing toward the door. But everyone here knows the truth now. Sarah Bradley is a cheater. David Chen is the man she chose over her marriage. And book club. I laughed bitterly. Book club was a lie. I pointed at David one last time. Enjoy my wife, David. Check her calendar. She's got book club every Thursday. Although now you'll have to find a new restaurant. Sir, outside, now. Officer Martinez's tone brooked no argument. I walked backward, still addressing the restaurant. 6 years of marriage. 6 years. And she throws it away for Thursday nights at Lucia's. I hope everyone remembers this. I hope everyone knows what Sarah Bradley and David Chen did here. The entire restaurant watched as the police escorted me out. Through the windows, diners continued filming as the officers guided me to the parking lot. Chapter 10. The Parking Lot. Sir, I need you to calm down, Officer Martinez said once we were outside. His partner, Officer Williams according to his badge, stood ready but relaxed. I'm calm, I said, and surprisingly, I was. The rage was ebbing, leaving behind a hollow exhaustion. I just found out my wife's been having an affair. Every Thursday. For 4 months. Martinez sighed. I understand you're upset. She told me she was at book club. The words came out broken. Every Thursday for 4 months, she kissed me goodbye and went to book club. Except there was no book club. Just him. That's rough, William said quietly. He looked young, maybe mid-20s. Probably still believed in happily ever after. Are you going to arrest me? I asked. Martinez and Williams exchanged glances. The manager wants to press charges for the damages. I'll pay for everything, I said immediately. Every plate, every glass, the table, their meals, everyone's meals. I'll pay it all. It's not just about the money, Williams started. I didn't hurt anyone, I interrupted. I flipped a table, I poured wine, I yelled. But I didn't touch anyone. I didn't threaten anyone. I just wanted everyone to know the truth. Martinez studied me for a long moment. You been drinking tonight? Stone cold sober. Was supposed to be watching the game at home while my wife was at her book club. I laughed bitterly. Funny how that worked out. You got someone who can come get you? Martinez asked. You shouldn't drive right now. Not in this state. I thought about calling Marcus, my brother, but then I'd have to explain. Have to say the words out loud to someone who mattered. I'm okay to drive, I said. No, you're not, Martinez said firmly. Adrenaline's a hell of a drug, but when it wears off, you're going to crash. Call someone. Through the restaurant windows, I could see Sarah and David talking to the manager. She was gesturing wildly, probably trying to explain. David was on his phone, calling a lawyer maybe, or checking how many people had already tagged him in their videos. My brother, I said finally. I'll call my brother. Chapter 11. Going viral. Marcus arrived in 20 minutes, during which I sat on the curb and watched my life explode on social media. The videos were already spreading. Man destroys restaurant after catching cheating wife was trending on Twitter. Tom, what the hell? Marcus stopped when he saw my face. Oh man. Oh no. Sarah? I nodded. Book club was a lie. I'm so sorry. He sat down beside me on the curb. How long? 4 months. Every Thursday. That witch. The restaurant door opened. Sarah emerged, followed by David. They saw me and froze. For a moment, we all just stared at each other across the parking lot. Then David guided her to a black Mercedes. Of course, he drove a Mercedes, and they left. She didn't even try to talk to me. "Let's get you home," Marcus said. "I changed the locks," I said suddenly. "No, wait, I didn't. I just found out 2 hours ago. I haven't done anything except destroy a restaurant." "Then let's go change the locks," Marcus amended. "But first, we're stopping at my place. You're not going home tonight." The ride to Marcus's house was silent, except for the constant buzzing of my phone. Notifications were pouring in. I turned it off. At Marcus's, his wife Jenna was waiting with coffee and the kind of fierce protective energy that made me grateful for family. "That lying, cheating," she caught herself. "Sorry, I know she's still your wife." "Not for long," I said. Marcus pulled out his laptop. "The video's everywhere, Tom. Like, everywhere." We watched it together. Someone had gotten the whole thing, from me bursting through the door to the police escort, in high definition, with surprisingly good audio. "Book club will never be the same," someone had commented. The table flip, though. David ran so fast. Someone check on Janet's actual book club. This man is a legend. Sarah belongs to the streets. Team Tom forever. I watched myself on screen, wild-eyed and shouting, wine dripping everywhere. It should have been embarrassing. Instead, I felt vindicated. Everyone would know. Sarah couldn't spin this, couldn't minimize it, couldn't pretend it was a misunderstanding. The truth was out there in 4K resolution. "You need a lawyer," Marcus said. "A good one." "I know a guy," Jenna offered. "Jeremy Hoffman. He handled my sister's divorce. Absolutely ruthless." I took the number. Outside, through Marcus's window, I could see news vans pulling up to my house 3 blocks away. The story was spreading beyond social media. Chapter 12. The immediate aftermath. I stayed at Marcus's that night. Didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sarah feeding David from her fork. Saw her hand in his. Saw the joy on her face. At 3 a.m., she started calling. I let it go to voicemail 5 times before listening. "Tom, please call me back. I know you're hurt, but this isn't what it looks like. David and I, it's complicated. But I love you. I love our life together. Please just let me explain." I deleted it. She called again. "Tom, I'm at the house. You changed the locks. Where are you? We need to talk about this like adults. What happened at the restaurant? That wasn't you. That was crazy. Please come home so we can figure this out." Changed the locks? I hadn't, but apparently Marcus had sent someone while I was catatonic on his couch. Good brother. By morning, my phone had 147 missed calls. Sarah, her mother, my mother, friends. Numbers I didn't recognize, probably reporters. The video had gone fully viral overnight. Someone had even made a remix with dramatic music. I met with Jeremy Hoffman at 9 a.m. His office was all leather and dark wood, designed to intimidate. He was in his 50s, silver-haired, with the kind of presence that made opposing counsel nervous. "I saw the video," he said before I even sat down. "Half of Chicago saw the video. This is going to be very straightforward." "She cheated," I said simply. "She did more than cheat." Jeremy pulled out a legal pad. "She systematically deceived you for months. Misused marital funds? I assume she paid for things with shared credit cards?" I nodded. "Destroyed the foundation of trust necessary for marriage. And we have it all on video. Adultery in a public setting with dozens of witnesses." He smiled like a shark. "I love when clients bring me evidence like this." "What about my reaction?" I asked. "The property damage?" Jeremy waved dismissively. "Crimes of passion. Any judge will understand. You discovered your wife's affair and reacted emotionally but not violently. You didn't assault anyone. You flipped a table." He chuckled. "Honestly, judges see much worse. I had a client who drove his car through his cheating wife's boyfriend's living room. What happened to him? Probation and anger management, but he got the house in the divorce. We spent 2 hours documenting everything. The emails I'd found, the credit card charges, the admission in front of witnesses that the affair had lasted 4 months. Jeremy took notes like a man preparing for war. What about David? I asked. Can I go after him? Alienation of affection laws are tricky in Illinois, Jeremy said. But he's a CFO at Morrison Industries? His shark smile widened. Corporate morality clauses are wonderful things. Send me everything you find out about him. Public companies hate scandal. Chapter 13. Sarah's desperation. The next few days were a blur of legal meetings, avoided phone calls, and watching my marriage dissolve in real time on social media. Sarah tried everything to reach me. She called from different numbers. Sent emails I deleted unread. Showed up at Marcus's house until Jenna threatened to call the police. Finally, she ambushed me at my office. I was leaving for lunch when I saw her in the lobby. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, no makeup, wearing sweatpants and one of my old college hoodies. The polished professional who'd worn red dresses for David was gone. Tom, please, she said, approaching carefully like I was a wild animal. Just give me 5 minutes. Security moved to intercept her, but I held up a hand. 5 minutes, I agreed. We needed witnesses for whatever she was about to say. We sat in the lobby's seating area, security hovering nearby. She tried to take my hand. I pulled away. I'm sorry, she started. I'm so sorry. I never meant... How long? I interrupted. Tell me the truth. How long has this been going on? She looked at her hands. 4 months. Since the Morrison conference in April. Why? The word came out raw. If you were unhappy, why didn't you talk to me? Why didn't you leave? Why the elaborate lies? Because I love you. The words exploded out of her. I still love you. David was just... He paid attention to me. He listened. He made me feel special. And I didn't? You were always working or watching sports or... Stop. I held up my hand. Don't you dare make this my fault. I worked extra hours to save for the Hawaii trip you wanted. I watched sports because you said you were too tired to go out on weekends. I know, she whispered. I know it's not your fault. I felt invisible. Like we were roommates instead of spouses. And then David was there, and he saw me, and it felt good to be seen. So you decided to lie to me for 4 months? It started as just coffee, then lunch, then... She trailed off. I kept telling myself I'd end it. Every week, I'd say this was the last time. But then Thursday would come, and you'd go to book club, I finished bitterly. She started crying again. I never meant for you to find out like that. The restaurant. Tom, that wasn't you. You scared me. Good, I said. You should be scared. Scared of losing everything. Scared of consequences. Scared of the truth getting out. I stood to leave. Your 5 minutes are up. Tom, wait! She grabbed my arm. Can't we try counseling? Can't we work through this? I looked at the woman I'd married. The woman I'd planned a future with. The woman who'd betrayed me for Thursday night thrills. There's nothing to work through, I said. You made your choice? 16 times, now live with it. Security escorted her out. Through the window, I watched her collapse in the parking lot, sobbing. A small, petty part of me was satisfied. The rest of me just felt empty. Chapter 14. Digital Warfare. Sarah made her first tactical error trying to control the narrative on social media. She posted a long Facebook statement 3 days after the restaurant incident. I want to address the video that's been circulating. While I take responsibility for my actions, what you saw was not the full story. Tom and I had been having problems for months. We'd grown apart, lost our connection. David was a friend who offered support during a difficult time. What happened at Lucia's was Tom's instability and anger issues manifesting, not a proportionate response to the situation. I'm currently staying with friends for my safety and hoping Tom gets the help he needs. The internet destroyed her within hours. First came the fact checkers. Someone found her Instagram, still public, and created a timeline. There she was at a concert on June 15th, book club night, according to my comments on her earlier posts. At a wine bar on July 8th, another Thursday. At Navy Pier on July 22nd, a man's shadow visible beside her, book club strikes again. Then came the comments. Girl, we all saw you holding hands. What book were you reading? David's Palm? Tom deserves better. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Anger issues? He flipped a table, not you. Team Tom forever. Imagine calling your husband unstable when you lied for 4 months. Someone found David's LinkedIn and Morrison Industries Facebook page. The reviews started pouring in. Your CFO specializes in destroying marriages. Very professional. David Chen helped me understand that wedding rings are just suggestions. Great fiscal responsibility. Using company time for affairs. 10/10 would let David Chen ruin my marriage again. Morrison Industries had to disable comments, but screenshots lived forever. The memes started next. The table flip became iconic. Someone edited it into a wrestling gif. Another person set it to dramatic opera music. Book club or nah became a trending hashtag. A local bar created a drink called the table flip, red wine with a twist of betrayal. Chapter 15. The investigation. I hired a private investigator named Carl Morrison, no relation to David's company. Carl was ex-police, built like a refrigerator, with the demeanor of someone who'd seen too much to be surprised by anything. I need to know everything, I told him. For the divorce. Always do, Carl said. Give me a week. He came back in 4 days with a folder that made my stomach turn. The affair had started exactly as Sarah claimed, at the April conference. But the details were worse than I'd imagined. David had pursued her aggressively, knowing she was married. He'd specifically targeted married women before, according to an ex-colleague Carl had interviewed. Seems Mr. Chen has a type, Carl said, showing me printed LinkedIn profiles. 3 other married women in the last 5 years, all ended badly. Why didn't his ex-wife divorce him for adultery? She did. But she signed an NDA as part of the settlement. Couldn't warn anyone. The hotel records were damning. Every Thursday, Sarah would check in at the Fairmont at 6 p.m. Always paid cash, withdrawn from our joint account. The same room, 412, every time. They had a routine, a system. This wasn't passion. It was premeditation. Carl had also pulled text messages through methods I didn't ask about. Sarah to David. Tom's working late again. He won't even notice I'm gone. David to Sarah. You deserve someone who prioritizes you. Sarah. I feel guilty lying to him. David. Don't. He's neglecting you. This is his fault. The manipulation was clear. David had played on her insecurities, positioned himself as the attentive alternative to her neglectful husband. The husband who was working overtime to afford the vacation she wanted. But Sarah wasn't innocent. Other messages showed her actively planning the deception. Told Tom Book Club is reading a really long book, buys us extra time. Janet called Tom last week, had to tell him book club was canceled. Close call. Can't wait for Thursday. Wear the blue tie I like. They'd turned betrayal into a game. Thursday night adventures while stupid Tom sat at home, grateful his wife had hobbies. Chapter 16. Corporate Justice. I packaged everything Carl had found into a professional email to Morrison Industries' board of directors. Jeremy had coached me on the language. Factual, non-emotional, devastating. Dear board members, I am writing to inform you of conduct by your CFO, David Chen, that appears to violate both professional ethics and potentially your company's morality clause. Mr. Chen has been conducting an extramarital affair with my wife, Sarah Bradley, for the past 4 months. This relationship has included use of company credit cards for personal expenses related to the affair, receipts attached. Conducting the affair during business hours. Potential exposure of the company to reputational damage, as evidenced by recent social media attention. A pattern of similar behavior with other married women, suggesting a liability risk. I have attached documentation, including hotel records, credit card statements, and communication records. I am also happy to provide access to the widely circulated video showing Mr. Chen with my wife in a compromising situation. I trust you will handle this matter with appropriate seriousness. Sincerely, Thomas Bradley. Jeremy loved it. Professional devastation. No threats, no emotion, just facts that will terrify their legal department. I sent it on a Tuesday morning. By Thursday, ironic, the business blogs were reporting David's administrative leave pending investigation. He called me that night from a blocked number. "You vindictive bastard," he snarled without preamble. "You've ruined my career." "Hello, David," I said calmly. "How's your Thursday night going? No Italian restaurants?" "This is tortious interference. I'll sue you into poverty." "Truth is an absolute defense," I quoted Jeremy. "Everything I sent was documented fact. How's that going to play in court?" "Your Honor, I was having an affair with his wife, but he shouldn't have told my employer?" "Sarah came to me," he said desperately. "She pursued me. She said her marriage was over." "Was it?" I interrupted. "Because I seemed to still be married, still wearing my ring, still thinking my wife was at book club." "You neglected her. She was lonely, and you were there to comfort her, every Thursday, in room 412 at the Fairmont." I let that sink in. "Yes, David, I know about the room. I know about everything. Your pattern with married women, your manipulation tactics, your use of company resources. Everything." Silence on his end. "Enjoy Michigan," I said. "I hear your uncle's accounting firm is hiring." He hung up. 2 weeks later, Morrison Industries announced his resignation to pursue other opportunities. The corporate speak for fired in disgrace. Chapter 17. The Divorce Proceedings. Our first formal meeting was in Jeremy's conference room. Sarah had hired Linda Kemp, known for defending victimized spouses and turning wronged parties into villains. Sarah looked better than she had at my office, but still diminished. She'd lost weight, her clothes hanging loose. Her wedding ring was gone. I noticed that immediately. Mine still sat on my finger, a reminder of broken promises. Linda spoke first, all aggressive energy and accusation. "Mr. Bradley's violent reaction at the restaurant constitutes domestic abuse." "Objection to characterization," Jeremy interrupted smoothly. "No person was touched, no threats were made. Property damage in response to discovering infidelity is not domestic violence." "He publicly humiliated my client." "She publicly betrayed him," Jeremy countered. "For 4 months. This wasn't a moment of weakness, but systematic deception." He slid a folder across the table. "Hotel records, credit card statements, text messages planning the deception. Would you like me to read some aloud?" Linda's jaw tightened as she flipped through the evidence. Sarah wouldn't look at me. "My client is willing to attend counseling," Linda tried. "To work on the marriage? No." The word came out harder than I intended. "There's no marriage to work on." She ended it the first Thursday she chose David over honesty. "Tom," Sarah said quietly, finally meeting my eyes. "Can't we?" "No." Jeremy took control. "Let's discuss assets. The house purchased primarily with Mr. Bradley's income. The cars both in his name. The joint savings depleted by approximately $8,000 in affair-related expenses. My client needs alimony," Linda stated. "She's been forced to take a lower-paying position due to the public nature of..." Due to her own actions being exposed, Jeremy finished. Actions have consequences. Being caught is not victimization. We went through everything. Every account, every possession, every shared asset divided by betrayal. Sarah wanted the dining room set her grandmother had left us. I agreed. Couldn't eat at it without seeing her feeding David anyway. She wanted photos from our trips. I agreed to copies. She could remember the lies she told after each one. She wanted Bailey, our golden retriever. That's where I drew the line. Bailey stays with me, I said firmly. I'm keeping the house. He needs stability. We got Bailey together, Sarah started. We did a lot of things together, I cut her off. Then you decided to do things with David instead. Bailey stays. Chapter 18. Judgment Day. 2 months after the table flip, we stood before Judge Patricia Holbrook. She was in her 60s, steel gray hair pulled back severely, eyes that had seen every variation of marital destruction. She watched the restaurant video twice. The second time, I noticed her lips twitch at, "Is this your book club?" "Mrs. Bradley," she said, removing her reading glasses, "you conducted an extramarital affair for 4 months, systematically deceiving your husband about your whereabouts." "Your Honor," Linda interjected, "my client admits to poor judgment, but maintains that Mr. Bradley's reaction was human," Judge Holbrook finished. "I've presided over cases where betrayed spouses have done far worse. Mr. Bradley flipped a table and poured wine. He didn't assault anyone. He didn't threaten anyone. He expressed his pain in a dramatic but ultimately harmless way." She turned to me. "Mr. Bradley, I understand you've already compensated the restaurant?" "Yes, Your Honor. $3,000 covered all damages plus extra for the disruption." Taking responsibility. She nodded approvingly, then looked back at Sarah. "Something you might consider, Mrs. Bradley." The ruling was everything Jeremy had promised. "I got the house, Bailey, the better car, and most of our assets. Sarah got her personal belongings, her grandmother's dining set, and the consequences of her choices. I also note," Judge Holbrook added, "that Mr. Chen has faced professional consequences for his participation in this affair. Perhaps both parties will think twice before engaging in such behavior again." Sarah started crying. Linda whispered furiously in her ear, probably about appeals, but it was over. The gavel came down on 6 years of marriage, 4 months of lies, and 1 night of spectacular truth-telling. Walking out of the courthouse, I felt lighter. Not happy. I don't think you can feel happy watching your marriage officially die. But lighter. Free from the weight of betrayal, of wondering, of pretending Thursday nights didn't matter. Chapter 19. The Aftermath. Sarah moved in with her sister in Naperville. I heard through mutual friends that she'd had to take a remote marketing position. Her reputation in Chicago was toxic. No one wanted to hire the woman from the viral cheating video. She tried one last time, a month after the divorce was final. A long email that I actually read this time. "Tom, I know you'll probably delete this, but I need to say this for my own closure if nothing else. I destroyed us. I know that. I took something beautiful and burned it down for excitement, for attention, for the thrill of being wanted. There's no excuse for what I did. No justification for the lies, the betrayal, the Thursday nights that belonged to us and I gave to someone else. David is gone. Fired. Moved back to Michigan. Wants nothing to do with me. Turns out I was just his latest conquest. His ex-wife reached out after everything went public. He did the same thing to her. I was just another naive woman who believed I was special. I'm in therapy now. Working on understanding why I self-sabotage, why I couldn't appreciate what I had until I destroyed it. Dr. Morrison says I have issues with stability. When things get too comfortable, too safe, I create chaos. It's not an excuse, just an explanation I'm trying to understand. I think about that last normal morning all the time. French toast and coffee and kissing you goodbye. If I could go back, I'd tell you the truth right then. Or better yet, I'd never have replied to David's first personal email. I'd have stayed home that first Thursday, Watched the game with you, been grateful for the quiet life we'd built. I hope someday you can forgive me. Not for my sake. I don't deserve forgiveness. But for yours, so you can move forward without the weight of this anger. I hope you find someone who deserves you. Someone who chooses you every day, not just the days that aren't Thursday. I'm sorry for all of it. Sarah. I read it twice, then archived it. Didn't respond. Some conversations are better left closed. Chapter 20. New Chapters 6. Months after the table flip, I was a different person. Therapy helped. Dr. Martinez specialized in betrayal trauma, and we worked through the anger, the trust issues, the tendency to check where people were on Thursday nights. You're allowed to be angry, she told me in our third session. Your reaction at the restaurant? That was years of being a nice guy finally breaking. Not ideal, but human. Everyone saw it, I said. I'm the table flip guy forever now. Are you though? Or are you the guy who refused to accept betrayal quietly? Who stood up for himself when it mattered? I started working out again, channeling anger into weights and miles on the treadmill. Cut my hair shorter, bought clothes that actually fit instead of the dad casual I'd settled into. Not for anyone else, for me. To see someone in the mirror I recognized. Marcus dragged me out occasionally. Nothing serious, just drinks with his friends, normalizing being single again. At first, I'd flinch when women mentioned book clubs or Thursday plans. But slowly, the association faded. One night at a bookstore, yes, the irony wasn't lost on me, I met Amanda. She was reaching for the same copy of a Murakami novel I wanted. Sorry, we said simultaneously, then laughed. You take it, I offered. No, please. She smiled. I have too many books anyway. My book club is going to stage an intervention soon. I must have flinched because her expression shifted to concern. Are you okay? You look like I just told you terrible news. No, I'm book clubs and I have a complicated history. She tilted her head, studying me. Recognition dawned. Oh my God. You're table flip guy. I braced for judgment, mockery, maybe fear. Instead, she grinned. That was epic. My friends and I watched it like 10 times. You're a legend. Not exactly how I plan to become internet famous. Better than being famous for accepting disrespect, she said. I'm Amanda, by the way. And I promise my book club is real. We meet monthly, usually at Janet's house. Different Janet. And we actually read books. Tom, I said, shaking her hand. And I believe you. Mostly. She laughed. Fair enough. Trust issues after that are completely understandable. We talked for an hour in the bookstore about Murakami and betrayal and the weird fame that comes from your worst moment going viral. She was a literary agent, divorced after catching her fiancé with her best friend. I didn't flip any tables, though, she said. Just keyed his car and sent the photos to his mother. Your way was more cinematic. Chapter 21. Slow healing. Amanda and I took things glacially slow. Coffee first, then lunch, then actual dinners, always somewhere other than Italian restaurants. She understood my need to verify, to build trust incrementally. 3 months in, she invited me to pick her up from book club. You don't have to, she said quickly. I know it's a trigger, but I want you to see it's real. Meet the ladies. See the actual books. So I did. Drove to Janet's house in Lincoln Square, hands only slightly shaking. Knocked on the door at 9 p.m. when Amanda said they'd be wrapping up. 4 women answered together, clearly having watched me walk up. The infamous Tom, one said. We've heard so much about you. All true, I hope. Amanda says you're wonderful, another added. Also, that table flip? Iconic. We've discussed making it required viewing for all betrayed spouses. They showed me their books, actual books, with notes in the margins and wine stains on the pages, their discussion notes, half coherent from wine, but genuinely about plot and character development, photos on the wall of past meetings, going back years. See? Amanda said, gathering her things. Real book club. No Davids in sight. I'm convinced, I said, and meant it. In the car, she took my hand. That was hard for you. Yeah. But you did it anyway. Yeah. That's what healing looks like, she said. Doing hard things until they're not hard anymore. Chapter 22. Unexpected Encounters. A year after the divorce, I ran into Sarah at Whole Foods, literally. Our carts collided, turning a corner. Tom. She looked healthier than the last time I'd seen her. Hair longer, wearing colors again instead of depression gray. Sarah. We stood there, two people who'd shared everything, now strangers in the cereal aisle. You look good, she offered. Thanks. You too. I heard you're seeing someone. A literary agent? Small towns, big gossip? Amanda, yeah. That's good, I'm glad. She seemed to mean it. I'm doing better too. Therapy helps. Good. I never apologized, she said suddenly. Not properly. Not for the right things. You emailed. No, I'm sorry for making you think you weren't enough. You were. You were more than enough. I was just broken and couldn't see it. An elderly woman pushed between us, reaching for granola. The moment stretched. I'm seeing someone too, Sarah continued. Met him in therapy, actually. Not group therapy, she added quickly. He's a therapist there, Marcus. Nothing like... She trailed off. Nothing like David? Nothing like anyone. He knows about everything. Saw the video before our first date. Still asked me out. She attempted a smile. Says everyone deserves a second chance at getting it right. I hope it works out, I said, surprising myself by meaning it. Yeah? Yeah. You deserve happiness too, Sarah. Just maybe be honest about your Thursday plans this time. She laughed, caught off guard. Wednesday is his late night at the practice. I stay home and actually read now. Alone, with Bailey. She stopped. Sorry, I didn't mean... It's okay. He's good. Spoiled rotten. You always did give him too many treats. Still do. Another shopper needed by. The moment was ending. Tom? Thank you for talking to me, for not walking away. I wouldn't have blamed you. We're not enemies, Sarah. We're just not us anymore. She nodded, eyes wet. Take care of yourself. You too. I watched her walk away. This stranger I'd once known everything about. Then I finished shopping, went home to Bailey and Amanda, and made French toast for dinner. It tasted like new beginnings. Chapter 23. Full Circle. 2 years after the table flip heard round Chicago, Amanda and I got married. Small ceremony in her parents' backyard. Real friends who'd stuck around through the ugly parts. Vows that meant something because we'd both seen what happened when they didn't. Marcus gave the best man speech, slightly drunk but sincere. 2 years ago, my brother became internet famous for flipping a table. But what that video didn't show was the man who rebuilt himself after. Who went to therapy? Who did the work? Who learned to trust again despite having every reason not to? He raised his glass to Amanda. And you saw past the viral video to the good man underneath. You helped him heal. You showed him that book clubs can be real, that Thursdays can be trusted, that love doesn't have to be a lie. Everyone laughed at the book club reference. Even I smiled. To Tom and Amanda, Marcus concluded, may your tables stay upright and your Thursday nights be honest. The reception was at a small Italian place, Amanda's choice. We need to reclaim Italian restaurants, she'd said. Make new memories. During our first dance, she whispered, no book club meetings to rush to. What about your Sunday club? Moved it to Saturdays. Thursdays are ours now. Dr. Martinez had been right. You do hard things until they're not hard anymore. You reclaim spaces and days and trust. You build something new on the ashes of what burned. Chapter 24. Epilogue, 3 years later. The video is still out there. Every few months, it resurfaces on someone's timeline, gets shared around again. Remember Table Flip Guy? The restaurant still has the plaque marking the spot. They've made it a tourist attraction of sorts. Sarah rebuilt her life too. Married the therapist, moved to Portland for a fresh start. We exchange Christmas cards now. Brief, polite, careful. She seems happy. I hope she is. David Chen never recovered professionally. Last I heard, he was still at his uncle's firm in Michigan, handling small business taxes. His pattern of targeting married women ended with a very public table flip. Sometimes consequences teach lessons therapy can't. Amanda and I have a daughter now, Sophie, 6 months old, who will someday Google her father and find that video. We'll explain it when she's older. How sometimes people break promises, how truth matters more than comfort, how you can rebuild after everything falls apart. But for now, she just knows Thursday nights are family nights. No book clubs, no deceptions, no secrets. Just us together, choosing each other day after ordinary day. I kept the cork from that wine bottle, still mounted on its plaque. Book club meeting, final chapter. It sits in my office, a reminder of the night everything changed. Amanda asked once if I wanted to get rid of it. No, I said. It reminds me that endings can be beginnings, that sometimes you have to flip the table on your old life to build a better one. She understood. She always does. Because here's what that viral video didn't show. The after. The therapy sessions. The sleepless nights. The slow rebuilding of self-worth. The careful steps toward trusting again. The decision to be vulnerable despite having every reason to build walls. It didn't show Sarah's journey either. The loss of everything familiar, the public humiliation, the hard work of understanding why she lit matches in a happy home. Her own rebuilding, smaller and quieter than mine, but no less real. It didn't show David learning that targeting married women has consequences, that CFOs can become cautionary tales, that Thursday night's end. The video just showed a man flipping a table in righteous anger. But the story, the real story, was everything that came after. The choosing to heal instead of staying bitter. The decision to trust instead of closing off. The work of becoming whole again. So yes, I'm the table flip guy. The one who found out his wife's book club was a lie. The one who made a scene instead of slipping quietly into betrayal's shadow. But I'm also the guy who got back up, who went to therapy, who learned to laugh about it, who found real love with someone who understood that trust is earned in small moments and kept with daily choices. I'm the guy who reclaimed Thursday nights. And that's a better story than any video could tell. Because in the end, we all have tables in our lives that need flipping. Lies we've accepted. Betrayals we've ignored. Moments when we choose dramatic truth over comfortable deception. The question isn't whether you'll face that moment. The question is what you'll do when it comes. Will you sit quietly, accepting less than you deserve? Or will you flip that table, spill that wine, and declare to the world that you deserve better? I made my choice in a crowded Italian restaurant on a Thursday night in August. It wasn't graceful, it wasn't dignified, but it was honest. And sometimes honesty looks like a flipped table and a viral video. Sometimes that's exactly what it takes to find your way to a better story. Mine started with a lie about book club and ended with Thursday nights that belonged to truth. The journey between was messier than any novel Sarah never read, more dramatic than any plot twist her fictional book club never discussed. But it was real. Every shattered plate, every spilled drop of wine, every recorded second of it. And in the end, that's all that matters. The truth served at exactly 98.6 degrees, with a side of consequences and a wine pairing that stains everything it touches. Sometimes the best response to betrayal isn't careful planning or cold calculation. Sometimes it's just flipping the table on their lies, literally. And then building something better, something honest, something real, something worth keeping from the pieces. That's my story. The whole story. Not just the viral moment, but the human journey after. From the ashes of book club lies to Thursday nights built on truth. From a table flipped in anger to a life rebuilt in hope. From remember table flip guy to remember what comes after. Because everyone remembers the flip. But the landing? That's where the real story lives.